Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe and check out the links in the description. You can also check out my social media handles down below. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up and hit that notification bell so you are aware when I am posting new videos, doing live streams, and all of that good stuff. All right. So today I kind of wanted to talk about just a lot of the stuff that Zack Snyder has been consistently sharing throughout interviews that he's been doing over the past week or two, talking about Zack Snyder's Justice League, of course. This time around, with the release of his original vision for the movie, he's being a lot more candid about his experience with the studio and shooting the movie, not with HBO Max, but with Warner Brothers. I want to link, those are two separate things. He has described his experience with HBO Max as being positive and that he's very thankful to them. But as far as Warner Brothers, I mean, we know that the whole reason why, what happened with his movie is because the studio was just giving him so much pushback against what he wanted to do with the movie. And so now he's kind of opening up more about, stuff that was even happening when he wanted to add stuff for the Snyder Cut. And so it wasn't just back in 2016 when he was shooting originally, but also, even though a lot of those people that were in executive positions at that time, even though they're not there anymore and there's new people, there are still some people, but, a lot of them are not there anymore. There's still that, they're still kind of trying to interfere with what he really wants to do with these movies. And if this is supposedly, his last movie for DC, I don't know why they would give him so much trouble. But anyway, I just want to share some different things that are coming out of different interviews. I'm not going to go through 4 or 5 different articles or anything like that, but just showing some highlights from different interviews that have been coming out recently. All right. Okay, so this quote is coming out of the source was Yahoo, and it was just really, the article was mainly about different visual effects, challenges or things that they wanted to do, and they kind of just broke down certain scenes as far as visual effects. But this quote from Zack says, maybe because of the high potential for confusion, Snyder says that Warner Brothers was always leery of Flash's time rewinding run. So this is, for context, they're talking about the scene where, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the movie, some of this stuff may be spoilers, so just a warning. Okay. They're talking about towards the end of the movie, of course, in the final battle, when Flash, reverses time because the League fails to do what they're trying to do. That's what they're talking about here. But they were talking about it in terms of visual effects, but this is what Zack had to say as far as pushback from the studio. That was always a bone of contention with the studio. They didn't want him running back through time. There. No surprise then that Whedon eliminated this sequence entirely when Warner Brothers brought him in to complete the film, and the Justice League triumphed without the help of the Speed Force. But Snyder confirms that's always the way he intended to end his first Justice League installment. The second movie he had planned would have picked up with Darkseid bringing an alien armada to Earth, and, well, you can continue in that article. So if you want to here's the article. I retweeted it on Twitter. It's about, Secrets of the Snyder Cut, the visual effects team, bringing some of those scenes to life. But that's just one example of how, again, the studio, and then of course this was back in 2016 when he was originally shooting the movie, or maybe probably even before that when he pitched his ideas to them about what he wanted to do with the movie. I guess they thought people would be confused, but I mean, the way that they put that scene together, it's so visually stunning. That is one of my favorite parts of the movie, hands down. The music is incredible. The way everything looks around Barry is so beautiful. His dialogue is amazing. It's just, I love that scene so much. It could not be better. The buildup of it is amazing. Just showing his importance for the movie and what he can do, it's just a world of difference compared to the theatrical version. I love that scene so much, and it's not confusing. You clearly understand what's happening, and based on what Flash says earlier in the film when resurrecting Superman, you understand what's happening, in my opinion. I don't think it's confusing at all. They just don't, they're so afraid that that like the audience has to be spoon-fed or they're not going to understand anything that's going on. Yes, you do. Here's another quote from another interview. But after a while, and after I thought about it, I pitched Warner Brothers what I thought would be a cool way to finish it. If they did have interest in it, this would be a way to do it. After I finished telling them the story, they watched the movie and they were like, oh wow, there's even more than we thought. Then HBO Max said yes. So this is going back to how Zack has shared several times that when Warner Brothers originally called his agent to offer Zack the chance to finish the movie, their initial offer was, well, you can just release what you have on your laptop that's unfinished. And of course, we know now Zack was like, I'm absolutely not ever going to do that. That's not even an option. I lose in every way, and the studio wins in every way. And the haters as well. So he's like, absolutely not. And this is important because he says when they watched it and they said there's even more than we thought, then HBO Max said yes, which is why, again, it's important to make the distinction between Warner Brothers and HBO Max. They are not, yes, they're both under Warner Media and they own them, but, they are not they're obviously HBO Max gave us a Snyder Cut, not Warner Brothers. So we need to distinguish between those. And again, this is why this is important, because here, Zack is replying to people on Vero, don't cancel, like people that are posting, don't cancel your HBO Max subscription. If we want Zack Snyder's Justice League to rise, we have the numbers rise. If we want Restore to Snyderverse, we keep playing the rules. WB has never faced us all, not us united. And Zack says that's right. So he is liking posts on Vero and stuff about people saying, like, just keep watching, don't cancel your subscriptions, and all of that. Okay, so that I'll get back to in a second, kind of in line with this. And then here's another response from Snyder. I just need to know if there is still hope. Are we still fighting? And Zack says, by watching it and getting others to watch. All right, so just keep doing that. Don't cancel your subscription. AT&T, HBO Max, they are paying attention. Just know that. All right. So here's another thing that Zack has been sharing a lot of in interviews as well. He has been talking about, spoiler again, just, I'm sure you guys probably know this by now, but just in case you haven't seen it, Zack has been talking about, at the end of the film, at the end of the epilogue, we see Martian Manhunter for the second time in the movie, and he's going to Bruce Wayne to say that he's there to help, and he knows what's coming to Earth. That originally was supposed to be a Green Lantern, specifically John Stewart, and, Zack has been describing recently that they did not want him, that they didn't let him use that character. They didn't want him to shoot anything for the film, even though, and he's like, I'm going to anyway. So let's read this one. Look, the interference mostly came from the notion that these weren't, it was a lot of, where are the jokes? Why are you not doing what we're asking? We're not asking for Martian Manhunter. We're asking for comedy, levity. Martian Manhunter, I don't think that's funny. And I think this part is going back to 2016. It seems to me. I honestly don't know why I got the pushback regarding Green Lantern. I think that they just were saying they didn't want me to doing the John Stewart version of Green Lantern in this movie. I was like, well, I don't understand. They're like, well, we're doing it. I'm like, when? And also I was like, not to mention the fact that this is, you can cast whoever you want. I cast my guy, you cast your guy, and we'll let the world decide who Green Lantern is. But I was able to leverage that. I said, okay, I'll take him out, but you gotta let me replace him with Martian Manhunter, and you gotta let me shoot my post-apocalyptic scene. And then the quote continues, but it's cut off there. I don't have the rest of it. So again, I think the jokes and all of that, I think, was going back to what he originally was facing, challenges, when he was originally shooting the film. Those were the challenges. And we know that because we know that the studio, how they reacted to critical response to BVS, and of course we know that when they let Joss Whedon finish the film, that's all they did was insert corny, stupid, ugly jokes everywhere. And you know, it's funny because Zack Snyder's Justice League has comedy, it has humor, but it's appropriate, it's not forced, it's not overdone, and it just obviously wasn't enough for them. But then about Green Lantern, I mean, it's just like Zack is saying, he's like, this is a Justice League movie. Like, you don't want Martian Manhunter or Green Lantern. Like, this is a Justice League movie. Fans are going to be expecting to see certain characters or be introduced to certain characters, and, like, you know, Green Lantern is obviously one of those. I like how he says, the studio's like, well, we're going to do it. And he says, when? You know, we still, I mean, now we know eventually there's going to be a Green Lantern Corps series on HBO Max, but, like, we don't know when, we don't know. I think in the only pretty much information that we've gotten so far about it, I don't think Jon Stewart was even mentioned in there. I mean, who knows if when he's going to show up. But that's a valid question. And then Zack even says, like, well, I'll put my person that I want in my movie, and then you guys can do your own, and we'll let the fans decide who they like, or they can like both. But he said, you know, okay, they let me do my Martian Manhunter scene and the post-apocalyptic the epilogue. He's like, even for the Snyder Cut, they did not want him to use, you know, they didn't want him to do that kind of stuff. And Zack said, he mentioned in an interview, another one recently, that he was going to quit because they would not let him use Jon Stewart, but then he didn't want to, he don't want fans to lose the movie just based on that one stand. So that's when he said, okay, I'll use Martian Manhunter. But it's interesting that he says he feels like they didn't want him to use just Jon Stewart. They wanted him to use Hal Jordan, maybe. And it was also problematic for Zack that he didn't want to take a person of color out of the film, and he mentioned that in another interview too. Geez, they are so, what is wrong with them? And again, that's Warner Brothers, not HBO Max, because Warner Brothers obviously owns the characters, and they have the say in whether, you know, he can use certain people or not. Here's another question. Why wasn't Batman in the Parademon Nest scene added in the movie? And I think a lot of people, we kind of expected to see that because we've seen, like, you know, previs. I don't know if we've seen previs, but we've seen concept art and the stunt coordination video about it. And I thought that Zack was actually able to shoot that scene back in 2016, but he said, you know, surprise, surprise, did not let me shoot. So that's why we never got that scene in the film. I think a lot of people would have liked to see that. I thought we were going to see it. Now going back to Green Lantern. I don't know how true this is or not. Take this with a grain of salt. But Fandom Wire is saying that Trevante Rhodes was Zack Snyder's choice for Jon Stewart. I do not know how accurate this is. I don't know. I mean, I expect that now that Zack is talking about this, he said that he shot the scene with the actor that was going to play Jon Stewart, even though he was told not to shoot anything. He's like, well, I did anyway, and I did it in my driveway, in my backyard. And he thought he was going to have to do that for the epilogue scene too, but they let him film that one. So when he shot this in his backyard or his driveway with Green Lantern, instead of Martian Manhunter originally, he put it in there, and they were like, what is that? Like, we're not going to let you use that. And that's when they started butting heads. Of course, Zack has not shared who he chose. At first, when he shared that, I thought maybe he used like a stand-in or something, but no, he said he actually used the actor that was going to play Green Lantern. I don't think that Zack will say anytime soon who he chose for Jon Stewart, because I think he's holding on to that, especially if there is a possibility that they may continue the Snyderverse. I don't think he's just going to throw that out there. But of course, you know, rumors and stuff are going to start coming out about who that could have possibly have been, and now there's already one starting. Again, don't quote me on this. It's just being thrown out there that it could possibly be, what did they say his name was? Trevante Rhodes. Okay. So I don't know. I mean, it just says that what does it say? Insiders. Oh, I read it earlier. Where did it go? Oh, inside sources have revealed to Fandom Wire that Zack Snyder's Jon Stewart was Trevante Rhodes. So, I mean, could be true, could not be true. Of course, they're gonna say it's an exclusive. Personally, I don't know if any other sources are claiming that he was the one that Zack chose for Green Lantern, for his Jon Stewart. I also wouldn't be surprised if it's not like a huge name actor. It may be someone that people recognize or that is, you know, out there. But I mean, Zack has kind of, you know, made it. I mean, for, you know, for most of the main characters, he has chosen people that are not huge names, except for, like, I mean, Ben Affleck. But a lot of the supporting roles are actually the more experienced, bigger names out there. And the people that he's chosen for the main league members are, I mean, now they're big names because of where he put them in these positions. But I think maybe I wonder if that was another reason why the studio was pushing back so hard against Jon Stewart, because I wouldn't be surprised if for Green Lantern they want a big name. But Zack is more, you know, apt to choose people who play the role and not just the name, you know, who he sees as the role. And so far, he's done a great job of casting everybody, in my opinion, in the DC Cinematic Universe. And so, of course, now the campaign is, you know, hashtag Restore the Snyderverse. Zack obviously notices that and appreciates it. He's acknowledging it. Do not cancel HBO Max. Also, the Justice is Gray edition is now on HBO Max too. I don't know about the other platforms that is, like, I don't know about all the platforms that Zack Snyder's Justice League is available on. I know it's on HBO Max. I don't know if it's on the other platforms as well. Like, if you're outside of the US, I don't know if it's on all the other ones also. But, you know, don't cancel your subscriptions. Keep watching it. You know, keep those numbers up. Who knows when they're going to share those numbers? I don't know. But I should probably stop rambling now. So, just the bottom line is, don't cancel HBO Max. I just wanted to talk about, you know, some of the stuff Zack has been sharing again. And I'm sure he'll continue, you know, if he's continuing to do interviews and stuff like that. But I'm glad he's being able to be more open now about what the studio, you know, what it's been like working with them. Not that we don't know, but he's actually opening up about it now. And again, it seems like, you know, there's a pattern that he's describing here with his experience working with Warner Brothers for this movie. And even now that there's a lot of new people in place. So it's really unfortunate. They don't deserve him. They don't deserve DC properties in general, because obviously they don't recognize the potential for the characters that they have. And that if they're trying to go the Marvel route, it's not going to work for the characters that they have. It's a different world, and that's okay. But, you know, again, just, we've been in this position before. We've heard these things from Warner Brothers before. They're not in control anymore. Jason Kilar is, AT&T is, HBO Max is now involved with this whole thing. So, you know, just keep doing what we're doing and stay positive, all right? Show Zack that we're still here to support. But thank you guys for watching. Check out the links in the description. Leave a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit the notification bell. I know sometimes YouTube doesn't always work notifications, but turn it on anyway, in case it does. And this weekend is going to be a Us United streaming event, the 27th and 28th. The schedule is on my Twitter and Vero. My panel will be Sunday the 28th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And so I'll be promoting, you know, who I'm going to have on there. But just be aware of that. And, you know, if you're on Twitter or social media or whatever, share that schedule if you happen to see it floating around. I know the Cultured Nerd, I think some accounts on Instagram are sharing the schedule, and so keep an eye out for that. But thank you guys again for watching. Thank you so much for all the support, and we'll see you next time.